Did it hurt her? Did it hurt her? Mommy's okay, Augie. She's fine. Mom and Dad came home 2 hours later. We knew the second they opened the door and Daisy wasn't with them that Daisy was gone. We all sat down in the living room around the pile of Daisy's toys. Dad told us what happened at the animal hospital, how the vet took Daisy for some x-ray and blood tests and then came back and told them she had a huge mass in her stomach. She was having trouble breathing. Mom and Dad didn't want her to suffer, so Daddy picked her up in his arms like he always liked to do, with her legs straight up in the air, and he and Mom kissed her goodbye over and over again and whispered to her while the vet put a needle into her leg. And then after about a minute, she died in Daddy's arms. It was so peaceful, Daddy said. She wasn't in any pain at all, like she was just going to sleep. A couple of times while he talked, Dad's voice got trembly and he cleared his throat. I never seen Dad cry before, but I saw him cry tonight. I had gone into Mom and Dad's bedroom looking for Mom to put me to bed, but saw Dad sitting on the edge of the bed, taking off his socks. His back was to the door, so he didn't know I was there. At first, I thought he was laughing because his shoulders were shaking, but then he put his palms on his eyes and I realized he was crying. It was the quietest crying I've ever heard, like a whisper. I was going to go over him. I was going to go over to him, but then I thought maybe he was whisper crying because he didn't want me or anyone else to hear him. So I walked out and went to Via's room, and I saw Mom lying next to Via on the bed, and Mom was whispering to Via, who was crying. So I went to my bed and put on my pajamas without anyone telling me to do, and put the night light on and turned the light off and crawled into the little mountain of stuffed animals I had left on my bed earlier. It felt like that all had happened a million years ago. I took my hearing aids off and put them on the night table and pulled the covers up to my ears and imagined Daisy snuggling with me, her big wet tongue licking my face all over like it was her favorite face in the world. And that's how I fell asleep. Heaven. I woke up later on and it was still dark. I got out of bed and walked into Mom and Dad's bedroom. Mommy? I whispered. It was completely dark, so I couldn't see her open her eyes. Mommy, you okay, honey? She said groggily. Can I sleep with you? Mom scooted over to her daddy's side of the bed, and I snuggled up next to her. She kissed my hair. Is your hand okay? I said. Via told me Daisy beat you. It was only a nip. She whispered in my ear. Mommy, I started crying. I'm sorry about what I said. There's nothing to be sorry about, she said. So I quietly could so quietly I could barely hear her. She was rubbing the side of her face against my face. Is Via ashamed of me? No, honey, no. She's not. She's just adjusting to a new school. It's not easy. I know you know. I'm sorry I called you a liar. Go to sleep, sweet boy. I love you so much. I love you so much too, Mommy. Good night, honey, she said very softly. Mommy, is Daisy with Grants now? I think so. Are they in heaven? Yep. Do people look the same when they get to heaven? I don't know. I don't think so. Then how do people recognize each other? I don't know, sweetie. She sounded tired. They just feel it. You don't need your eyes to love, right? You just feel it inside you. That's how it is in heaven. It's just love, and no one forgets who they love. She kissed me again. Now go to sleep, honey. It's late and I'm so tired. But I couldn't go to sleep, even after I knew she had fallen asleep. I could hear Daddy sleeping too, and I imagined I could hear Via sleeping down the hallway in her room. And I wondered if Daisy was sleeping in heaven right then. And if she was sleeping, was she dreaming about me? And I wondered how it'd feel to be in heaven someday and not have my face not have my face matter anymore. Just like it never ever mattered to Daisy. Understudy. Via brought home three tickets to her school play a few days after Daisy died. We never mentioned the fight we had over dinner again. On the night of the play, right before she and Justin were leaving to get to their school early, she gave me a big hug and told me she loved me and she was proud to be my sister. This was my first time in Via's new school. It was much bigger than her old school and 1,000 times bigger than my school. More hallways, more room for people. The only really bad things about my bionic robot hearing aids was the fact that I couldn't wear a baseball cap anymore. In situations like this, baseball caps come in really handy. Sometimes I wish I could still get away with wearing that old astronaut helmet I used to wear when I was little. Believe it or not, people would think seeing a kid in an astronaut helmet was a lot less weird than seeing my face. Anyway, I kept my head down and as I walked right behind Mom through the long, bright hallways. We followed the crowd to the auditorium, where students handed out programs at the front entrance. We found seats in the fifth row, close to the middle. As soon as we sat down, Mom started looking inside her pocketbook. I can't believe I forgot my glasses, she said. Dad shook his head. Mom was always forgetting her glasses, or her keys, or something or other. She is flaky that way. She is flaky. She is flaky. You wanna move closer? Said Dad. Mom squinted at the stage. No, I can't see, okay? Speak now or forever hold your peace, said Dad. I'm fine, answered Mom. Look, there's Justin, I said to Dad, pointing out Justin's picture in the program. That's a nice picture of him, he answered, nodding. How come there's no picture of Via? I said. She is an understudy, said Mom. But look, here's her name. Why do they call her an understudy? I asked. Wow. Look at look at Miranda's picture, said Mom to Dad. I don't think I would have recognized her. Why do they call it understudy? Understudy, I repeated. It's what they call someone who replaces an actor if he can't perform for some reason, answered Mom. Did you hear Martin's getting remarried? Dad said to Mom. Are you kidding me? Mom answered, like she was surprised. Who's Martin? I asked. Miranda's father, Mom answered, and then to Dad, who told you? I ran into Miranda's mother in the subway. She's not happy about it. He has a new baby on the way and everything. Wow, said Mom, shaking her head. What are you guys talking about? I said. Nothing, answered Dad. But why do they call it understudy? I said. I don't know, Dougie, Dad answered. Maybe because the actors kind of study under the main actors or something. I really don't know. I was gonna say something. I was gonna say something else, but then the lights went down. The audience got very quiet very quickly. Daddy, can you please not call me Uggy Duggy anymore? I whispered in Dad's ear. Dad smiled and nodded and gave me a thumbs up. The play started. The curtain opened. The stage was completely empty except for Justin, who was sitting on an old, rickety chair, tuning his fiddle. He was wearing an old-fashioned type of suit and a straw hat. This place is called Our Town, he said to the audience. It was written by Thornton Wilder, produced and directed by Philip Davenport. The name of the town is Grover's Corners, New Hampshire, just across the Massachusetts line. Latitude 42 degrees 40 minutes. Longitude 70 degrees 70 degrees 37 minutes. The first act shows a day in our town. The day is May 7, 1901. The time is just before dawn. I knew right then and there that I was gonna like the play. It wasn't like other school play I've been to, like The Wizard of Oz, or Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. No, this was grown-up seeming, and I felt smart sitting there watching it. A little later in the play, a character named Mrs. Webb calls out for her daughter Emily. I knew for the program that was the part Miranda was playing, so I leaned forward to get a better look at her. "That's Miranda," Mom whispered to me, squinting at the stage when Emily walked out. "She looks so different." "It's not Miranda," I whispered. "It's Via." "Oh my God," said Mom, lurching forward in her seat. "Shh," said Dad. "It's Via," Mom whispered to him. "I know," whispered Dad, smiling. The ending. The play was amazing. I don't want to give away the ending, but it's the kind of ending that makes people in the audience teary. Mom totally lost in when Via, as Emily said, "Goodbye, goodbye world, goodbye Grover's Corner, Mama and Papa, goodbye to clocks ticking and Mama's sunflowers, and food and coffee and new ironed dresses and hot baths, and sleeping and waking up. Oh, Earth, you're too wonderful for anybody to realize you." Via was actually crying while she was saying this, like real tears. Real tears. I could see them rolling down her cheeks. It was totally awesome. After the curtain closed, everyone in the audience started clapping. Then the actors came out one by one. Via and Justin were the last ones out. And when they appeared, the whole audience rose to their feet. "Bravo!" I heard Dad yelling through his hands. "Why is everyone getting up?" I said. "It's a standing ovation," said Mom, getting up. Standing ovation. Standing ovation. So I got up and clapped and clapped. I clapped until my hands hurt. For a second, I imagined how cool it would be to be Via and Justin right then, having all these people standing up and cheering for them. I think there should be a rule that everyone in the world should get a standing ovation at least once in their lives. Finally, after I don't know how many minutes, the line of actors on stage stepped back and the curtain closed in front of them. The clapping stopped and the lights went up and the audience started getting up to leave. Me and Mom and Dad made our way to the backstage. Crowds of people were congratulating the performers, surrounding them, patting them on the back. We saw Via and Justin at the center of the crowd, smiling at everyone, laughing and talking. "Via!" shouted Dad, waving as he made his way through the crowd. When he got close enough, he hugged her and lifted her off the floor a little. "You were amazing, sweetheart." "Oh my God, Via!" Mom was screaming with excitement. Oh my God, she was hugging Via so hard. I thought Via would suffocate. But Via was laughing. You were brilliant, said Dad. Brilliant, Mom said, kind of nodding and shaking her head at the same time. And you, Justin, said Dad, shaking Justin's hand and giving him a hug at the same time. You were fantastic. Fantastic, Mom repeated. She was honestly so emotional. She could barely talk. What a shock to see you up there, Via, said Dad. Mom didn't even recognize you at first. I didn't recognize you, said Mom, her hand over her mouth. Miranda got sick right before the show started, said Via, all out of breath. There wasn't even time to make an announcement. I have to say, she looked kind of strange because she was wearing all this makeup and I'd never seen her like this before. And you just stepped in there right at the last minute, said Dad. Wow, she was amazing, wasn't he? Said Justin, his arm around Via. There wasn't a dry eye in the house, said Dad. Is Miranda okay? I said, but no one heard me. At that moment, a man who I think was their teacher came over to Justin and Via, clapping his hands. Bravo, Olivia and Justin. He kissed Via on both cheeks. I flubbed a couple of lines, said Via, shaking her head. But you got through it, said the man, smiling ear to ear. Mr. Davenport, these are my parents, said Via. You must be so proud of your girl, he said, shaking their hands with both his hands. We are, and this is my little brother August, said Via. He looked like he was about to say something, but suddenly froze when he looked at me. Looked like he was about to say something. Mr. D, said Justin, pulling him by the arm. Come, meet my mom. Via was about to say something. Something to me, but then someone else came over and started talking to her, and before I knew it, I was kind of alone in the crowd. I mean, I knew where Mom and Dad were, but there were so many people all around us, and people kept bumping into me, spinning me around a bit, giving me that one-two look, which made me feel kind of bad. I don't know if it was because I was feeling hot or something, but I kind of started getting dizzy. People's faces were blurring in my head, and their voices were so loud it was almost hurting my ears. I tried to turn the volume down on my robot ears, but I got confused and turned them louder at first, which kind of shocked me. And then I looked up and I didn't see Mom and Dad or Via anywhere. Via, I yelled out. I started pushing through the crowd to find Mom. Mommy, I really couldn't see anything but people's stomachs and thighs all around me. Mommy. Suddenly, someone picked me up from behind. Look who's here, said a familiar voice, hugging me tight. I thought it was Via at first, but when I turned around, I was completely surprised. Hey, Major Tom, she said. Miranda, I answered, and I gave her the tightest hug I could give. I forgot that I might see so many beautiful things. I forgot that I might need to find out what life could bring. Camp life. My parents got divorced the summer before ninth grade. My father was with someone else right away. In fact, though my mother never said so, I think this was the reason they got divorced. After the divorce, I hardly ever saw my father, and my mother acted stranger than ever. It's not that she was unstable or anything, just distant, remote. My mother is the kind of person who has a happy face for the rest of the world, but not a lot left over for me. She has never talked to me much, not about her feelings, her life. I don't know much about what she was like when she was my age. I don't know much about the things she liked or didn't like. The few times she mentioned her own parents, who I've never met, it was it was mostly about how she wanted to get as far away from them as she could once she had grown up. She never told me why. I asked a few times, but she'd pretend she hadn't heard me. I didn't want to go to the camp this summer. I didn't want to go to camp this summer. I had wanted to stay with her to help her through the divorce. But she insisted I go away. I figured she wanted the alone time, so I gave it to her. Camp was awful. I hated. I thought it'd be better being a junior counselor, but it wasn't. No one I knew from the previous year had come back. So I didn't know anyone, not a single person. I'm not even sure why, but I started playing this little make-believe game with the girls in the camp. They would ask me stuff about myself and I'd make things up. My parents are in Europe, I told them. I live in a huge townhouse on the 90th Street in North River Heights. I had a dog named Daisy. Then one day I blurted out that I had a little brother who's deformed. I have absolutely no idea why I said this. It just seemed like an interesting thing to inter- in seemed like an interesting thing to say, and of course, the reaction I got from the little girls in the bungalow was dramatic. Really? So sorry. That must be tough, etc., etc. I regretted saying this the moment it escaped from my lips, of course. I felt like such a fake. If Via ever found out, I thought she'd think I was such a weirdo. And I felt like a weirdo, but I have to admit, there was a part of me that felt a little entitled to this lie. I've known Augie since I was 6 years old. I've watched him grow up. I played with him. I've watched all 6 episodes of Star Wars for his sake. So I could talk to him about the aliens and bounty hunters and all that. I'm the one that gave him the astronaut helmet he wouldn't take off for 2 years. I mean, I've kind of earned the right to think of him as my brother. And the strangest thing is that these lies I these lies I told, these fictions did wonders for my popularity. The other junior counselors heard it from the campers, and they were all over it. Never in my life have I ever been considered one of the popular girls in anything. But that summer in camp, for whatever reason, I was the girl everybody wanted to hang out with. Even the girls in bungalow 32 were totally into me. These were the girls at the top of the food chain. They said they liked my hair, though they changed it. They said they liked the way I did my makeup, though they changed that too. Changed that? They showed me how to turn my t-shirt into They showed me how to turn my t-shirt into halter tops. We smoked. We snuck out late at night and took the path through the woods to the boys' camp. We hung out with boys. When I got home from camp, I called Ella right away to make plans with her. I don't know why I didn't call Via. I guess I just didn't feel like talking about stuff with her. She would have asked me about my parents, about camp. Ella never really asked me about things. She was an easier friend to have in that way. She wasn't serious like Via. She was fun. She thought it was cool when I dyed my hair pink. She wanted to hear all about those tips through the woods late at night. I hardly saw Via at school this year, and when I did, it was awkward. It felt like she was judging me. I knew she didn't like my new look. I knew she didn't like my group of friends. I didn't much like hers. We never actually argued. We just drifted away. Ella and I badmouthed her to each other. She's such a prude. She's so this, she's so that. We knew we were being mean, but it was easier to ice her out if we pretended she had done something to us. The truth is, she hadn't changed at all. We had. We'd become these other people, and she was still the person she had always been. That annoyed me so much, and I didn't know why. Once in a while, I'd look to see where she was sitting in the lunchroom, or check the elective lists to see what she'd signed up for. But except for a few notes in the hallway and an occasional hello, we never really spoke to each other. I noticed Justin about halfway through the school year. Half About halfway through the school year. I hadn't noticed him at all before then. Other than that, he was this skinny, cutish dude with thick glasses and longish hair who carried a violin everywhere. Then one day I saw him in front of the school with his arm around Via. So Via has a boyfriend, I said to Ella, kind of mocking. I don't know why it surprised me that she had a boyfriend. Out of the three of us, she was totally the prettiest. Blue eyes, and long wavy dark. But she just never acted like she was at all interested in boys. She acted like she was too smart for that kind of stuff. I had a boyfriend too, a guy named Zach. When I told him I was choosing the theater elective, he shook his head and said, "Careful, you don't turn into a drama geek." Not the most sympathetic dude in the world, but very cute, very high up on the totem pole, a very thirsty joke. I wasn't planning on taking theater at first. Then I saw Via's name on the sign up sheet, and just wrote my name down on the list. I don't even know why. We managed to avoid one another throughout most of the semester, like we didn't even know each other. Then one day I got to theater class a little early, and Davenport asked me to run off additional copies of the play he was planning on having us do for the spring production. The Elephant Man. I'd heard about it, but I didn't really know what it was about, so I started skimming through the pages while I was waiting for the Xerox machine. It was about a man who lived more than 100 years ago, named John Murray, who was terribly deformed. "We can't do this play, Mr. Davenport," I told him when I got back to the class. And I told him why. My little brother has a birth defect and has a deformed face, and this play would hit too close to home. He seemed annoyed and a little unsympathetic, but I kind of said that my parents would have a real issue with the school doing this play. So anyway, he ended up switching on to our town. I think I went for the role of Emily Gibbs because I knew Via was going to go for it too. It never occurred to me that I would beat her for the role. What I miss the most. One of the things I miss the most about Via's friendship is her family. I love her mom and dad. They were always so welcoming and nice to me. I knew they loved their kids more than anything. I always felt safe around them, safer than anywhere else in the world. How pathetic that I felt safer in someone else's house than in my own, right? And of course, I loved Augie. I was never afraid of him. Even when I was little, I had friends that couldn't believe I'd ever go over to Via's house. His face creeps me out, they would say. You're stupid, I would tell them. Augie's face isn't so bad once you get used to it.